and that's coaching changes. We have a bunch of coaching changes, right? Doesn't have to be the head guy to make a big difference within a program. So these are some big coaches that made big moves this offseason. Let's talk about Chris Barnett. Chris Barnett comes from a championship pedigree. Coach Rob Broadway. And at North Carolina A&T and what they've done in Celebration Bowls, Chris Barnett was a part of all of that. Tariq Cohen, he was a part of all of that. Sam Washington, Jump Ball U, he was a part of all of that. He is in that same timeline. You see what the ilk that he's coming from? He's coming from championship pedigree. Chris Barnett, offensive coordinator, will now be joining Winston-Salem State as offensive coordinator, same role that he had at North Carolina A&T last year. Chris Barnett has shown that he can develop great running backs, i.e. the Tariq Cohens, Bashir Tutens. I mean, just look around. Go take a dive into the stat leaders of the past 5 years for North Carolina A&T, and you'll find some dogs. Chris Barnett runs a very good offense, a very smooth offense, and quite honestly, this is what Winston-Salem State needs on offense. Winston-Salem State has underachieved. Last year, underachieved greatly. Start off the year 0-5, right? You save your season, go 4-6. But the offense for Winston-Salem State was never there the entire year. Their leading receiver had 21 catches for 300 yards through 11 games. Yeah, I know. Their offense, 17 points a game. That's not going to win many games. 178 yards a game. In fact, their previous offensive coordinator is currently not even working in football anymore. He's actually working in a construction company. So this is night and day difference for the Winston-Salem State team. This could ignite a flame. This is still the same region that Chris Barnett has already worked in, so you got to imagine his recruiting network is still somewhat the same. He can provide a necessary boost for this Winston-Salem State team. Moving on to another very big move. Coach Terry Sims, the former head coach from Bethune-Cookman, moves on to Alabama State, right? Goes on to Alabama State. But get this, he doesn't take a coordinator role. He is now the director of football operations at Alabama State. This is more of a hands-off approach. If we're talking about somebody that's been a coach and has been in the war room and in the film room, it's not much of that. This is more on the administrative side. He is the administrative liaison for the football team. He's going to deal with compliance, facilities, training staff, equipment managers, communications, marketing, and organizations, right? So Terry Sims will get to kick his feet up a little bit, but I think he'll also work as, how should I put this? He could work as a mentor to Coach Eddie Robinson down there in Alabama State. I think he could give the correct insight to help Coach Eddie Rob really get things together down for Alabama, get things together at Alabama State. I think Alabama State may have been missing some things on offense last year. Coach Terry Sims became coach at Bethune-Cookman back in 2010, right? He has so much information, so much knowledge he could give the new coach, the new young coach, head coach. This is Coach Eddie Robinson's second year as a head coach on any level. I don't think that he shied away from the help, and he brought in Terry Sims as somebody that he could speak to and bounce ideas off of. Coach Terry Sims, and what happened at Bethune-Cookman was unfortunate, where he had to move and the team got much worse very fast, right? Then the move was needed. It's good for both sides. But I think this is another good move for Terry Sims, staying in the SWAC still and still having an impact on SWAC games. And then lastly, we got one of the GOATs, Willie Totten, one of the GOATs, one of the best quarterbacks in NCAA history. He holds 50 NCAA records. If you remember Jerry Rice, there's a dude throwing to him who was doing numbers also. And that's this guy, Willie Totten. He did his thing. He has a couple fields named after him, a couple awards named after him. He's the man. The past 4 years, though, he's been the quarterback coach at Mississippi Valley State University. While there, you got to coach Jelani Eason, coach other players on this Mississippi Valley team while he was there at his alma mater. Now, in this past spring, Coach Eric Dooley of Southern decided to bring Coach Willie Totten on to the staff, right? Mississippi Valley last year, head coach Vincent Dancy moved on to Colorado, leaving a lot of those coordinators in limbo. Some stayed with Kendrick Wade down there at Mississippi Valley. Others, like the legendary coach Willie Totten, took a hike, went up to Southern, and as Coach Eric Dooley said, whenever he had a time that made sense for him to bring in Coach Willie Totten, he would do it, and he did it. The blink of an eye, he did it. I think that this is what's going to be needed in this quarterback room to figure out who's the number one. I think sometimes it takes a great to find a great. We have a bunch of good quarterbacks in the Southern quarterback room this year. 5 quarterbacks. I talked about them last week. Dylan Mahorta, Jalen Woods, CSET, Noah Bowden, the starter, Harold Blood. The list goes on and on, right? Very deep list. But in order to find that quarterback, a lot of times you need a guy with some good eyes who can check out techniques, a guy who has been there and who has done it. And I think Willie Totten might be the guy to really fish out the number one quarterback at Southern. Yet to be seen. This is his first spring with the staff. This will be a fun ride, and I like that Southern keeps a guy of, one of the greatest players of all time on their coaching staff. That's the best way to put it. All right. So